Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of the Wedding Podcast. As you know, the whole ethos of the Wedding Podcast is to let you get to know the personalities of the suppliers who supply to weddings. And today we're going to be discussing room decor. And we're going to be discussing it with someone I've known for a long time. She's been at the forefront of that particular aspect of the wedding industry. Please welcome Barbara McKeown-Howe from Fairytales. Hi, Barbara.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Good. I felt very special today. Put my makeup on and get my hair done.
I'll tell you, well, and that is a real background behind you. That's not something.
Isn't it just?
It's
oh
not a
yes,
projection.
isn't it just? My camera skills aren't fantastic, but you get the gist. Just
Yes.
like a small corner of our design house.
That is class. It looks really, really good. Brilliant. So, I noticed your email address says Barbara at Fairytale Chairs. Now that must be going back a long time when you were just Fairytale Chairs. You do a lot more than that now, don't you?
We do. Oh my goodness, we do. And you know what? It's lovely to think back because kind of, you know what it's like when you get into business and then everything like you start off with that wee passion in your heart and the fire in your belly and the dream. And I remember going to my mum and saying we were just getting married, and it was like 17 years we've been doing this now. It could be 18, but it's right sort of 17, 18 years. And I remember going to my mum and saying, "Mum, I've got a wee idea, and it's chair covers, I think." And my mum was like, "Oh my goodness, Barbara, you couldn't go in and recover the chairs in the hotel, so wouldn't let you." So the whole concept of chair covers years ago was just unheard of. It was just no, but you'd seen pictures of it, but nobody knew that this was Northern Ireland. That was like something you would have in America, or in LA. Certainly wasn't in Northern Ireland. And that's how, and I've still got the little basket. I still keep the little basket close by. I started off with, it's just a little wicker basket with a wee, with a wee lid on it. And I started with 2 chair covers and a few coloured sashes. I went round a few hotels. And funny, some of the people that I done a wee bit of, we don't actually, anybody starting a business, the best thing to do is go for one of those big Go For It programs, because they really are. They're brilliant. And I still to this day, anybody that's talking to me, I say, I have with a wee idea, like start a wee business, go for it. I don't even know if it's still called Go For It, but I was like, whenever I started, it was Go For It. And it was doing your market research. Your market research is just, you can have all the ideas in the world, but if you don't do your market research, and you realize that nobody's going to want to buy your product, or it's not at work, and that's how And I'm still really good friends with people that I interviewed to do my market research with all those years ago. They're still on my Facebook page. There's still people that I know, and they're maybe not in this industry and hospitality anymore, but they're still friends. They're still out there.
Well, tell me, Barbara, what was the reaction from the venues when you turned up as this person saying, "How you doing? I want to cover your chairs for this wedding"? Was there a sort of surprise, or was there any sort of pushback?
To be honest, we had to do, obviously you had to do a lot of freebies because nobody would even really have wanted to pay for it at that stage. So it's like a photograph. If you can get a photograph of it in a few different venues, or my very first, oh my goodness, my very first wedding was a dinner party in Donegal for 14 people in their house. Yeah, so there's me going off to Donegal in my car with 14 chair covers. And when I got, it was white chair cover, white sash in their home. And when I got there, I brought 14 chair covers and 13 sashes. So my poor husband had to drive up over the, it was stupid. Like, you learn, that's the best thing. When you make mistakes like that, you learn from them, So there's my husband up in the Glen Shane Pass for one white organza sash. But wow. Yeah, the hotels, again, you just needed to tell pictures, really worked. If you saw a picture of it, they got what it was. And like back in the day, now sort of hotels would have helped you take them off at midnight or after the event and stuff. now, but back in the day, that wasn't the case. They wouldn't have touched them. We had to go in the morning, put them all on, tie all the sashes, go back after the event, take them all off. Even like laundering them. Like thinking back, my poor mum, my mum's house and my house was like a Chinese laundry because there was just chair covers everywhere. It was just one like, oh my goodness, because laundry companies didn't even know about it. So like anybody who's sort of got a good 15, 16 years on their belt, they made the pathways. We've learned by our mistakes, and thankfully, you just don't, you've paved the way for a lot of people coming up behind. And you didn't have, like, we didn't, when we started up in business, we didn't have social media. You
No.
didn't have Facebook. Gosh, did I even have I don't even know if I had a mobile phone. Can't even remember if you had a mobile phone.
15 years ago, you
It
probably
was
did.
just the good old, if you were real, you could get a wee line in the yellow pages, and
That's
if
right.
you really made it, you could get a picture in the yellow pages. That was it. And then you got plagued by Yale.com. We've all experienced Yale.com way back in the day. But yeah, so it was a hard graft. You really, really had to graft, but they were the wonderful days as well too. They were the days where you just started growing and loved it. Loved it.
Well,
Thinking back, really loved it.
you probably used pure enthusiasm as the fuel for the whole thing back then.
Yeah, and really, because you knew you had a concept there. Like you knew it would work. When you know it's going to work, you just know how to get it to where it needs to go to. You just know.
And did it grow organically? From chair
Yeah.
covers, you moved on to center, table centers and stuff like that, and then backdrops and whatnot. Is that the way it went?
Yeah, absolutely. And all of a sudden, like if you could see what I'm looking at, like I'm sitting here, I'm in the corner of our design house, and I'm looking out, and it's just a vast array of like amazingly. It's amazing what we've kind of grown into, and it was organic. It was very organic, and you just kind of just took off on its own. The booking started coming in, and it started growing and growing and growing, and then you were able to provide. You actually, I was never the person to say no, we can't do that, or no, you can't have that. So you're like, yeah, that's fine. All of a sudden, you're like, oh my goodness, where am I going to find this from? Who's going to make it? How are we going to get it? How are we going to get there to put it up?
Yep. I remember a year from my answer for years and years and years was the answer is yes. Now, what's the question? And that was that was my ethos for business. And it forces you to be creative and to come up with good ideas. So I think you must have been something similar.
Yeah, and they were the good old days as well too, when you really did have to search for something unique. Now, listen, we all get inspiration from different people. We all go, and in Northern Ireland, like I think our standard of weddings is so high. Like I know who some of
Yes.
my competitors are, and they're so high, and there's some you hold in great esteem and think, oh my goodness, they're amazing. So, and I know over my sister's from England, and I know in England, yes, you've got your very high end celebrity type things, but the general run of the mill in Northern Ireland, it's so high. Like we've got brides who can get a picture on Facebook or Pinterest, drives me crazy Pinterest, but Pinterest, and it's an event in LA or Hollywood, and we have got the merged table toppers. They can have it. They can have the linens. They can have the Dior chairs. They can have the flower wall backdrops. They can have the charger plates. Like they can have all that. It's not just. That's not just that. It's the world has opened up now, and everyone can have the event that they want. And I do think Northern Ireland's really high. I think brides in Northern Ireland are really lucky because there's because they can have what they want now.
Oh yeah. Funny, it wasn't anything to do with room decor, but I remember we did a wedding up at Solus Loch Esk years ago in Donegal. And
Beautiful, yeah.
it was the first wedding we ever worked at, which was what I call a 2 or 3 day wedding, because we weren't actually booked for the wedding day. We were booked for the day after the wedding day,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the people
weekends, yeah.
the people had arrived on the Friday night and it stayed over, and they were winding down on the Friday night. Then the actual wedding day was the Saturday. Then they stayed over, and then the day after was another big massive hoolie, and we
Yeah.
were booked for the afternoon of the Sunday, and there was a band and all later on that night. I don't know when the people were going home, but at one point we had set out all the casino tables up and so on, and we weren't ready to start yet. And I went outside. It was a beautiful day, And I looked up in the sky, and there was a biplane flying along with a tail out the back saying congratulations to the bride and groom. I thought, my
Yeah,
God, that
yeah. You
even
can
having
have
the thought
whatever
of
you
doing
want.
that, amazing. It is, you're only bounded by your imagination, really
Yeah,
are.
you can have whatever you want,
Mhm.
you can have whatever you want. Obviously, there's a cost to it and a
Of
budget to
course,
it, but
yeah.
and even like talking about budgets and stuff, like the budget of your wedding does not depend on, your class or your parents, or
No,
we've got lovely couples who just, they're very working class. They just have an idea of what their wedding is like, and they will go out and they will save and save and save and save any penny, every penny, to have the wedding of your dreams. It's not about wealth anymore or anything like that. It's just taste and what you want and what you will do to get what you want. Because we've had people that it's like people drive up the design house and you see their cars, and you're like, oh my goodness me, they rock up with all their gear, their designer, and you're like, oh wow. And they're like, no, we just want everything really quite plain, we just want a runner for the table. Or we have other people coming, like, you just can't judge. And I love that. You cannot judge. You don't, but that's life in general, isn't it? Just
oh, this
you
is it.
just
It's
don't judge because you're always wrong.
it's all down to individual taste, and that's it. And I think
Yeah, thank
that's the
goodness.
key to a wedding day. Is well, when I say individuals, it's not necessarily individuals. It's the bride, the groom, the bride's mother, and so on. Everybody seems to have their input as to what way it's going to look, but certainly it's creating that whole mystical effect is wonderful. And
And you
I
only
agree
get
with
one chance to do it as well, too. Like,
you. Yeah.
you don't get. And that's also, do you not think that you guys the same? Like, that's the pressure of work, and anybody that works in this industry and who does well and has longevity in this industry,
Exactly.
it's
Yes.
because they do really care about their business and they care about their clients, and
Oh yeah.
it's so, like, they really appreciate it's such an important day. Like,
Mhm.
you know, I remember getting asked before in an interview about about just, what snippet of advice would you give or something, or what do you always say to yourself? And for me, it's like, it's never forgetting the importance of the day. This is our job. This is your job. And, like, see the person who said that, you know, uh, love your job and you'll never work a day in your life. Rubbish, because we all have to work. Like, we all go to work. There's days you go to work and think, oh, there's days we all go to work. Work is work, whether you love it, whether you hate it, or whatever. Work is still work. But it's like, I know whenever I was a bride many years ago, and then, like, waking up in the morning, like, you have prepared for this, you have dreamt about this day, you have driven your family, bridesmaids, groom to be, mother of the bride. God, God love my mother. Anybody's mother of the bride. I look at the mother of the bride and think, oh gosh, that poor woman, especially with COVID now at the minute. And it's like, you have dreamt about this, you've had sleepless nights over this, but to be on for the bride to waken up on the morning of her wedding and think, today's the day, like, and like, we should never forget how privileged we are to be part of that day,
That's very
and never forget, like, whenever we're coming in at 7, 6, 5 o'clock in the morning, it's still dark, you're loading chairs up and you're thinking, oh, it's just reminding the team this is a really important day in somebody's life, and how we're privileged to be part of it. Like, and it is great, it's a wonderful industry to be in. It's hard, it's very difficult,
Oh,
and it's
there's no
competitive.
doubt about it. I mean, the number of times you get into the truck or the van and you're heading off, and you've 100-mile journey ahead of you, a
Yeah,
100-mile back. That's the bit that is work. I
yeah,
find the bit of when I'm actually doing the gig,
yeah,
and
same.
it's just sheer fun. That's pure enjoyment. But
But I suppose
getting there,
getting there, you've got all the elements. You've got, oh my goodness, we're going to have a flat tire. Is the
mhm,
van going to break down? Is somebody going to phone in sick? One of your guys, are they going to phone in sick? Is somebody going to get hit by a bus? Like, all these things that go through your head. That's why we tend to, like, whenever we hear about weddings in Donegal and further afield, you're like, yeah. And then all your head just starts going, what's all the stuff that you need to eliminate that cannot happen? Or if you have we have taxi numbers for every town and the whole of the land, just in case something happens.
yeah, no, well, that's the way you have to be. It really is the way you have to be.
I think that's called experience as well, though, isn't it?
Well, that's it. You build it up and you learn from it. I mean, I when I started Mulsanne, our business was 90% corporate.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a great learning thing, because you just can't mess those people about. You mess them about once and you never see them again.
Yeah,
And they
corporate's a
all
whole
talk,
different ball game.
and so you had to be there. And one of the greatest compliments I ever got was a lady in Dublin who ran, or was part of an agency, and I arrived to do a gig for her one time, and she says, "Donal, I'd love to see you here, because I book you and then I forget about you, because I know you're going to be here. Everybody
Isn't that
else is phoning
lovely?
up and saying, is everything all right? Are you going to be there?" And I was probably the guy traveling the furthest, but it's just to make it a point of, the client comes first, and no matter what happens, you have to get
Yeah.
there, irrespective of whether if you break down, you get another van quickly from somewhere, whatever. But anyway, one of my experiences of coming across you was quite a few years ago now. I was doing an event that you were involved in Ollie's nightclub in Belfast,
Oh
and you
yes.
converted
Oh,
the
I
entrance to
know.
Ollie's
Yeah.
nightclub
I didn't know
into
what you were going to say there. I was like sitting thinking, what's he going to say?
you turned it into the foyer of the Grand Hotel in Monte Carlo. It was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
And the casino, it was a casino in Monte Carlo we
That's
turned it
right.
into.
The Grand Hotel Casino. Yes, the
Yeah.
casino. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah. Fabulous.
it was a great night, but it looked really, really looked good. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I take it, basically, if somebody comes along to you and says, "Look, I want this plain room turned into a palace," you can do it.
Yeah, we can do it, especially now with all sort of the graphics and the stuff you can get. Like it's not me coloring in, like squares and stuff or cutting stuff out, even though we can do that. But yeah, well, absolutely we can. We can do anything now. We just what it's like. You get people around you that are imaginative, or you go somewhere and you get a bit of creativity, and then you start looking at things and just chatting and brainstorming, and it all kind of comes to you. And then a lot of our clients are like, just whatever. We'll run a few things past us, or we've done, because for that particular, that was a 16th birthday party.
That was indeed.
And it was at Ollie's nightclub. I'll not mention the family because they were a wonderful family. And then we were able to do their daughter's 18th birthday party.
Yep.
No, was that not the son? Was that the son's?
No, that was the daughter.
16th, and then we had the 18th as well too, or something. That was wonderful. Oh, it was great. Love it. Really, really beautiful.
It was a great. I really enjoyed that. So you mentioned Donegal and places like that. I mean, how far do you go? How far do you travel? You're based in Antrim, right? So where are you prepared to travel to?
Listen, we can travel anywhere. Like we've got so many clients, and the thing about us is because we've got products that are bespoke to fairy tales, and I know that nobody else has them. We've searched we've put a lot of effort and time into searching for products that that are bespoke to us. So we've got some clients, and they're just like, they want it, they can't see anything else like it, nobody else has got anything like it, so they will obviously they want it. Now if you're a bride and you want us to do a backdrop in Donegal, obviously you have to take your time and your your staff, and it's okay putting it all up, but people forget you have to come back and take it all away again as well too. So we need to factor into that. So sometimes it doesn't really, it's not cost effective for the bride. And yes, people want value for money now. Like weddings are expensive, so we try everything that we do or we put into the wedding, like we try and make it really work. Like if you're going to have a backdrop, have it here, and then use it as a selfie area, or just make sure and use it up. So for some things like that, we would maybe tend to direct them into maybe somebody closer to them. But it depends on what they want. Obviously, if they want like the mirrored tabletoppers, the charger pits, the Diors, the table centers, the room dress, and we'll go anywhere, absolutely anywhere. We've stayed for like 2 or 3 days as well too. We've done a few events where you have the party on the night before, we've done the wedding, and then we've done the next day as well too, and just change stuff around.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
That's good. But listen, that they don't come without it's that sleepless nights, that doesn't come without, like, you do go through your head. And even to this day, like 16, 17, I think probably 17 and a half years later, I still waking up in a sweat and think, have I forgot a wedding? Especially in the time there is now, because nothing's running smoothly because you've got staff off on furlough. We're
Mhm.
not in the office all the time. There's no appointments. People have forgotten. Everyone's got other stuff on their minds. So I keep going. I'm full of, then our office manager, she's had on maternity leave as well too. So it's up to me. So if any brides are listening and they haven't received an email, I apologize now. It's coming. Just call me. Just call me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just still really worried about, gosh, could you put so many nets in place? Again,
Mhm.
that comes with experience. But yeah, it's just the more that you go further afield, the more chances of something that's happening. Whereas here locally, we're so lucky where we are. We've got
Yeah.
so many beautiful hotels,
Mhm.
around us that we
Yes.
can just do some really beautiful stuff there. But
I have.
we'll always go where they want us to go.
Oh, well, that's good. That's really good. Now, we mentioned that time you converted the entrance to Ollie's into the Grand Casino. What other? I mean, I'm sure you've done some really big ones you've been proud of. Can you mention any of those?
We've done, do you know, wacky and amazing. We've done the most gorgeous wedding. At the end of the day, everybody wants their wedding to be beautiful and gorgeous. Yes, it's some maybe a little bit different, or they're really arty. We changed the Templeton Hotel into a real, oh my goodness, it was like a jungle book. We had trees everywhere, and that was back whenever trees in a hotel weren't really, apt. Um, oh, and
How
we
long
had
ago
like
was that,
jungle music
Barbara?
and waterfall music, and
When
it
was that
was
one you did in the temple and you turned into the jungle? How long ago was that?
quite a few years ago.
Right. Okay. No, just
I
that.
don't know. I think the years have all blurred into
Yeah.
one. But we had the zebra print linens, and you couldn't recognize the place. We had like a big photo booth with full-size giraffes and gorillas, and it was just magical, and greenery everywhere. Everywhere you looked, there was just an abundance of greenery and loads of stuff. But the mother of the bride was really creative anyway, so she kind of had her own ideas, and she wanted us to put a lot of stuff in place.
Hmm.
She done a lot as well too. We helped her, but she had an amazing, like, we had a big tiki bar as well too, and fabulous stuff. But that was her taste. Like, that could be somebody else's worst nightmare. Like,
Of
if
course.
it could
Yes.
be. And so at the end of the day, everybody, you can still have wacky and wonderful, but everyone still wants it beautiful.
Oh
And
yeah.
sometimes, as you said, sometimes these brides can have all the intentions of what they want, but then the mother of the bride kind of gets in, and it's like, well, I don't really like. I remember whenever I got married, I wanted black bridesmaids. Like, we had a big eve, we got married in December. And we had, like, everyone was like informal and tuxedos and stuff like that. We loved it. And I wanted my bridesmaid to wear like the most beautiful black dress. Now, again, if you had back in the day, if you mentioned black chair covers and black for a bridesmaid, it was like unheard of. It was like, my mum was like, and she talked my bridesmaid out of it. She was like, that if you wear black, everyone's going to think you just look like a guest. So I ended up with burnt orange. Sometimes the mothers get in there and kind of shift your ideas a little bit. But at the end of the day, most people want it beautiful. We've done a gorgeous one in Galgorm. Oh, it was beautiful. We had all the big mirrored table toppers. We completely recarpeted the Great Hall in Galgorm. We completely draped it all out and put big flower walls in it. And oh, it was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And was that bride extravagant? No, not at all. Like, if you seen the bride, you wouldn't have recognized her, the
Hmm.
day after or the day before. She wasn't like a real in your face type of bride.
Yeah.
But that's just what she wanted for her wedding day. And that was her dream of what her wedding day was, what
Brilliant.
was going to be. So who
Brilliant.
are we to talk them out of
Oh,
it?
absolutely not. The idea is you want to give them what they really
Yeah,
want, because they have it in
yeah.
their head. What that's going to be what their dream is.
Yeah.
If you can
And we
provide
do get
that too.
asked, so many times, what do you think, or what would you have? And my answer to that is always, this is not my wedding. I've had my wedding, this is your wedding. It's, you imagine how you feel when you walk into the room and you see it. What do you imagine seeing,
Uh-huh.
and feeling? It's all about, for me, it's all about how you feel and how your guests feel at the wedding.
So, Barbara, are you able to do more than one wedding in a day, or do you?
Oh gosh, yeah, we can do. up to 4 or 5 weddings, depending on the side of it. Now, we don't really like to go over 4, but again, geographically where we are, we're surrounded by hotels. So, and we've got quite a team. Like, obviously not at the minute because we've just come out of a pandemic and COVID, and the whole industry is just crazy, and it's just even if we don't want to talk about it because it's just bizarre and crazy and nuts. So we're kind of feel as if we're kind of building ourselves back up again. We're kind of starting from scratch again, with our teams and stuff, but it's never ever always me. Like, there'll always be a team behind me. I've never taken all the glory for it. Like, I could have all these weird and wonderful ideas, but I've got a team behind me that's loading the vans and doing all the hard work. And so many people that I think, oh, that's a lovely wee job, and I'm like, could you be a labourer on a building site? Because that's what you need. That's the skills that you need.
Oh yes, I have met some of your guys, and they're serious grafters and well talented, no question about that.
Absolutely.
So at what stage do you find the couple would first contact you, Barbara?
We get asked this all the time, and to be honest, the truthful answer is it's entirely up to the personality of the couple.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will, like, we've got bookings at the minute we've got fresh inquiries for 2024-25, which is that's very normal for us, but that's that couple's character. Usually it's a bride's character. Mm-hmm. Or we've also had people we've had a bride that came in on a Wednesday and her wedding was a Saturday, Granted, they did live abroad and they were only home for a few days and stuff like that. But again, it depends on the personality of the couple. Some couples or some brides or grooms will be, I just want to get it sorted. It's their venue style is either really important to you or whatever, and again, that's the personality of the couple. Some brides that'll come down, and if they want to talk about their wedding in 2025, well, I'm the girl to talk about it. I love it, so I'll talk to you about your wedding. A lot of people will roll their eyes and go, oh gosh, are you serious? But no, we love it.
Well, Barbara, I'm sure, you, with your experience, know most of the venues particularly in Northern Ireland. So if a couple come to your workshop or your office, you know what they're talking about. If they say I'm getting married in Galgorm for the sake of argument, or somewhere further afield, you can immediately visualize the Great Hall in Galgorm or the Four Seasons Suite or whatever. They've possibly only been there once or twice. So you could be, I know you could be talking away about, we could put this and that part and all the rest of it, but they probably couldn't visualize that. So do you end up going and doing site meetings at the hotel with them, or what?
We can do. It depends on the couple. And it was so funny. We got a guy to come out. We were getting paving outside our home up at home. Mm-hmm. And this man came out and he was so enthusiastic, and he was talking about all the pavings and the slabs and and you could have all this circle or stuff. And his lips were moving and he was saying stuff, and I was just like, what is he talking about? And that really got me thinking, that must be what it's like for brides and grooms when they come into us and I'm talking about, we'll do this and we'll do that, and you see the wee blank faces, and then you can just give them so much information. Honestly, whenever he was talking to me about that paving outside my house, I thought that's what it feels like to be a wee groom coming in here, and I'm bombarding them with flower walls and backdrops and linens and fabrics and all this stuff going on. So it's so overwhelming. So we have a lot of pictures. We're really good set up down here, and we've got a lot of pictures. We can show them pictures and have a different idea. And we don't want to bog them down with too much stuff, especially if their wedding is further on down. We'll get a few basics put in place. We'll get maybe we save the date put in place. Then further on down the line, we will go to venues. Now, don't forget, we have been going to venues, and we have seen some venues change. Change hands, change owners, change setup, change rooms. Got refurbished maybe sometimes 2 or 3 times. So the pictures that maybe you have of that venue now, it could have changed, and again, the choice of venue for brides and grooms in Northern Ireland is huge and superior. Like, you've been to some of the rooms in the hotels. They are fantastic. There's not a lot of shoddy places anymore, whereas I know whenever we started, there was definitely, it was like you could go to certain places and it was like, oh, it's lovely, but you could go to other places and it was it's not really like that anymore. Like all the venues have really upped their game. And one of the, obviously you mentioned Galgorm there. We
Mhm.
are so lucky we are a chosen supplier for Galgorm, and
Mhm.
they absolutely up their standards. Like they constantly reinvest. I sound like I'm an advert for Galgorm. I'm not at all, but they constantly reinvest, and then that sets the caliber for, so you've got the Culloden, you've got the Denadry, you have
Mhm.
got
Glamour.
the Rock, like there's so many other amazing little venues
Mhm.
coming up,
Mhm.
that are really different alternative style weddings, and some really fantastic venues. So brides and grooms in Northern Ireland, they're so lucky. Like they really, really are
They
fabulous.
are, yeah, definitely. And I mean, I see some of them actually nearly paralyzed by the choice. You know, it's just so much. It's hard to make their mind
Hmm.
up. But it's a
Hmm.
good
Hmm.
thing that there is, and that there's enough business there for all of those venues to survive.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful.
No, there absolutely is. But the answer to your site visit, we will go and visit. We will absolutely go down, and obviously with the current climate at the minute, we are doing maybe more little bits and pieces at home. So we're
Mhm.
always out and about. And like before Christmas, there we were decking out porta cabins and living rooms, and like we were changing these wee brides' living rooms. You wouldn't believe it. Was got some pop onto our social media and see like this porta cabin. It was a porta cabin, and even the photographer messaged us and said that was amazing. How do we do that? How did that happen? I don't know. It just happened. It just happened, but it was fabulous. So it does prove the point. You can get married anywhere. Like you
Yeah,
can get married anywhere and still have a wonderful day.
yeah. Oh, definitely. And I say it's great when that's just a great example, the Porta Cabin one, when you can turn that into a palace for the sake of argument. That's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And that's what
And
people
it's
want.
using your imagination now. That's what it is. Like brides and grooms have to and suppliers need to use their imaginations now. Your entertainer is there to entertain you just because they can't sing Mustang Sally in the dance floor. But there's so many other things that the entertainers can do, when things get lifted a little bit before, obviously not at the minute, but coming back, I think it's still a good time to get married. It's still a great time to have your friends and family together when we're allowed to all get together again, and the
Hopefully soon.
quizzes and oh, it's fabulous, really good, but it's just being a wee bit more creative.
You mentioned photo booth earlier. Do you do that as well?
No, we don't. Well, no, we don't do photo booths, but what we can do is, again, I love having products and props that really work for their money, because they're not cheap. So, say for instance, a bride had their ceremony in a venue, so we would have like a big arch or a big something like we've got behind the tea, can't see it, but they're a huge big. This is a beautiful big rose
Hmm.
heart, our big heart, rose heart here. So what you would do is you would have that in the ceremony, and then that could get moved to maybe to be over the cake area,
Right.
at that stage. But then your cake goes away, so again you're going to be left with this lovely big prop. So we always tell you brides and grooms, get a box of props. And again, it depends on the personality of the couple. Some brides and grooms will be like that, or some couples will be like that. No, I can't be bothered. And other ones are like, yeah, we'll get the big glasses and the blow up saxophones and the whole like everything. So again, that to me, it's having the props that you've got there, and then they can bring their own little bits and pieces. Because the couples always want to do their own wee bit as well too,
Of course. Yeah.
and then they can do their own selfies, or there's photo booths and stuff about there, of course, and they're really, really
Mm.
good. Some couples would rather just go and get somebody to come in and just set it up and take it all and then go away again.
Mhm.
It's just, and the beautiful thing about it, it's always about the couple.
Oh, of course it is.
It's
Yeah.
always about the couple, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Barbara, if someone is watching or listening to this, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, like everything else, we've got all our social media. We've got our Facebook page. Probably there's so many ways to get in touch now. Do you not think you don't have a minute? And you're just constantly on, like, yeah, it's so addictive. You're constantly on your phones. Oh, it's crazy. Obviously we've got our social media. We've got our Instagram, which is Fairytale Events NI. We have got our Facebook page, which is Fairytale Chairs.
Mhm.
Our fairy tales. Oh, I can't remember. Fairytale Events or something is our Facebook page. Then we've got our website, which is your www.fairytalechairs.com. And yes, as you mentioned at the very start, we were Fairytale Chairs
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
very start. And yes, now we're in the very Fairytale Events, because our proper title is Fairytales Wedding and Event Specialists. and I've got braces on, so it's really difficult for me to say that. So we're venue stylists for weddings, parties, and corporate events. But yeah, our wee website has all the links on there, and people know nowadays how to get in touch, don't they?
Oh yeah, fair enough. But just it makes it easy for them if I can tell them, you know.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Barbara, somebody with such experience as you have, if I asked you the $1 million question, if what is the one really big piece of advice you would give to any couple who are going to get married, with regard in respect of your business?
Just to do what you want to do, because you never get a second chance at it. You never get, obviously, like, you can't have a second wedding and stuff like that, but if you want to arrive in a helicopter, arrive in a helicopter. If you want to, whatever you want to do, as wacky and as weird and as wonderful as it sounds, go for it, because there is nothing worse than waking up the next day and thinking, oh, I wish I had done that. Like, I remember even waking up the next day and going, oh, I wish I had made this last for 3 days, or I wish I had just, you never want to be in that position where you say, oh, I just wish I had done it, because you'll never get another chance. And trust your own gut instincts as well too. Everyone's got an opinion, especially when it comes to getting married. Everyone will have an opinion. Your bridesmaids will have an opinion, your sisters, your brothers, your aunties, your mothers, your mother the groom, your mother the bride, your dad. Everybody has got an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to just trust your own gut instinct in a lot of things. If it feels right, do it. And if it doesn't feel right, then just very politely say, oh, thanks so much indeed, but it's okay, we've got it sorted. And let people help as well too. Everyone wants to help a little bit, don't they? Let people help and enjoy it. Gosh, that's loads of snippets of advice. I can't just blend one into one. Just enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, enjoy the planning. Don't get too stressed about it, even though you do get naturally stressed about it, but just enjoy it, because, the picking of the invites, the picking of the shoes, looking at fabric, it's all part of it. And when it's over, you look back and think it's all part of it. It's all part of the journey. And it's wonderful to actually find somebody that wants to get married to you, and you want to get married to them, and you're prepared to make this commitment to each other. It's wonderful, and just enjoy it. Just enjoy it.
That sounds like absolutely perfect advice, Barbara. Definitely. And I agree with everything you've said there. It all makes total sense. The idea is, the bottom line is, I think it's the whole day belongs to the couple who are getting married. Everyone else can have an opinion, but at the end of the day, the only opinion that really matters is the bride and groom. And I suppose in many cases it's the bride. Never mind the groom.
It is.
Definitely, and that's the thing to be kept in mind, I think. Brilliant.
And it's really difficult, because we brides are always like, even when you are a bride, you are a bride, and you are wanting to talk about your wedding, because you've got nothing else in your head anymore. Everything in your head is just, you're waking up and think about the wedding, you go to bed and think about the wedding. It's just the wedding. It's just the wedding. They can't help it. It's just, and now that I just feel so sorry for mothers of the brides and bridesmaids going through all this, because they've had to do it for 1 year. They were getting near the end of it, and now they've had to do it for another 4 times, for dates. So, oh my goodness, it must be awful to try and plan a wedding in the current circumstances, but it's just, I can't help it.
I think one thing I would say, and it's part of the purpose of this podcast, is that if a bride and groom really, when they're going for their suppliers, if they go for the people who are the experts, the people who have the experience, the people who have seen it all and probably come across every problem there has been, those people will do their utmost to take the stress out of the day. I would be saying, go for the people with the experience, go for the people who have,
because they're the ones that are going to be there at the end. Like I've said this many, many, many times, you and I could have a conversation, and we have a 15-minute conversation, and by the end of the conversation we could have a business, we could have a dog grooming business, or a nail technique, or whatever, hair extensions, whatever business you want. We could have a Facebook page, we could have an Instagram page, we could have a billion pictures, and we could have at least 7 reviews saying that we're absolutely fabulous, and we've never once groomed a dog or cut nails or whatever in this day and age. And it's so difficult. Like, how do you know the difference between a good supplier and a bad supplier? Because on Facebook and everything, like on social media, it makes everything look fabulous and glossy, and we all know that, you know, we're all going through social media thinking, oh my goodness, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or, you know, that's just social media.
Yeah.
But thankfully, like, we have like the longevity, we have our reputation behind us, which is amazing, and that does hold for a lot. And we've had word of mouth again too, like, you know, how we've done such and such as wedding, and they come back. Like, that's the best testament to any business, no matter what, how many followers you've got on Facebook or Instagram. Like, somebody coming back and saying, you done my sister's wedding, I loved it, you know, I want you to do mine, I've always wanted to do mine. That's a privilege to me, to still be part of this, the part of that family, you know, and to be part of this, and they want you to do it. So yeah, so but that's like, we're so lucky, you know, you have all that behind us, and the wisdom behind us. Funny enough, I had a wee consultation on Saturday there, because we're still doing our virtual consultations, the videos and stuff. And a wee bride had mentioned a wedding, and I was like, oh my goodness, yes, I know that. I said, I've never done a wedding there, but I worked in it many, many, many years ago. And she was like, you're the first person. She says, you're the first person that we've spoken to. We're so glad you know it now. I didn't do a wedding in it, but I knew it. So that put their mind at rest. They booked us because they had a trust in us. They could see what they have, and then when everything opens up, like, they can come down. We've got a beautiful big design house down here. You know, they can touch it and feel it and see the products, and we can put things together for them. And so that's the beauty about it as well too. You can actually touch and feel it. If something's good, you know what it's like in this industry. If something's too good to be true, it usually isn't. Just watch it, you know.
Yeah. No, that's exceptionally true. You know, there's no doubt about that. No, one of the happiest ones I ever did was that we did a wedding for bride and groom one time, and then 10 years later they had a renewal of the vows, and they went round their suppliers to see who was still there, and we were more than happy to come back and do the event for them. Yeah. And
isn't that amazing though? Isn't that a real testament that you're still around 10 years later, that you've lasted it? And you know, and they thought you'd done such a great job the first time around, they wanted you to.
Yeah.
And they lasted 10 years too. That was
absolutely. That was a great thing.
That's a good thing.
Well, listen, Barbara, it has been an absolute pleasure. I've enjoyed talking to you. I knew it was going to be a very enthusiastic conversation.
Oh, I know. I have been told I was slightly enthusiastic about things.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, enthusiasm, it takes enthusiasm to get things going, you know, but you have the longevity in the business, and you've a lot of history, a lot of experience to draw on, and it has been
a lot of wrinkles, and a lot of sleepless nights, and a lot of.
That's where the grey hair comes from, in my case.
I know.
So no,
you wouldn't change it though.
No, of course not. No, you wouldn't change it at all. You know, it's been great fun. You know, so listen, it's been great fun talking to you. And who knows, another 2 or 3 years we can come back and do it all again, and you'll maybe have even more new stuff and all that. Yeah, certainly. Okay, Barbara, thanks very much again.
You're more than welcome.
This is Donal O'Neill signing off from this episode of the Wedding Jigsaw podcast. Goodbye.